You are watching Xirtus.
You know how sometimes words take on different connotations if you add an ist at the end of it?
Yeah.
Fair,
Yeah.
fair.
So I don't want to. I think the term spiritualist can be used in multiple contexts, if I remember correctly. But yeah, sure. It's all just spirituality. That's all it is. It's like one thing I think about very frequently is you take the earth, you take something like the earth, and we're on it, and that's pretty cool. But think about how small of a percentage it is, the amount of space that's actually habitable on planet earth compared to its volume and its mass. It's almost like microscopic in comparison. Like when you zoom out, it's like the all those like people, those two people that were trapped in space, how many miles they are away from the surface. That's such a fraction, of a percentage distance away from the Earth's surface compared to, the Earth's diameter. It's like just going that little bit of a distance exposes them to so much radiation, so much danger, so much body, I'll call it morphology. They really have to adjust themselves when they get back to Earth. It's so crazy. Like, I think really half of our problems as a species just come kind of from our collective egos, but not remembering, how frivolous all of it is in the grand scheme of things. That can sound depressing. I don't think it's like it's a big horseshoe. That's the big horseshoe of nihilism versus spirituality. It's like that can be an awesome thing, or it can be just a really lame crappy thing. But I think it can really help you appreciate life, appreciate that we're here, the fact that it's so small. One big wave, or one earthquake that was bad enough could just wash us all over. It's like just
yeah. But you're basically speaking to the insignificance of the individual human, which obviously is true in a material level. You can't deny that. If any one of us were to die, nothing about the world would fundamentally change. I get that. That's true. However, you could think, right? You're a thinking being, you're a conscious human being, right? And you're of the universe. So like one of the logical sequences that led me to a quote unquote spiritual awakening was when I was like, like life isn't happening to you. You're not happening to life. Life is not happening for you. Life is not happening through you. Essentially, you are life. You are a focal point of the vast universe experiencing itself. And this is true because you're a human. You're born of the universe. You could think, can't you? And you're not bigger than the universe. So therefore, the universe is on some level an intelligent being, at the very least, through you. So this is how I could reconcile like materialist truth, which is we are all insignificant meat sacks, just, crawling around on a rock. But then there's also the parallel truth, which is we are all the universe experiencing itself. Both things can be true. And that's your reconciliation.
What do you think about... Go ahead.
I have a little anecdote to follow it up. Think about I think there's so much life in the universe, like so much life that we don't realize it.
There's no intelligent life, not on Earth anyway.
Well, so I read about Chernobyl. There's this amazing fungus that is growing in Chernobyl. And scientists, they can't prove, but they think when it's around gamma radiation, it looks like it actually converts the gamma radiation into energy. And they can take this
Cladosporium, Spermum, the Clado.
Yeah, something of that. It's been a few days. I didn't quite retain all the information, but it is pretty awesome because now they're thinking, well, like a centimeter of like this fungus, it can block a significant amount of gamma radiation, and it's supposed that up to about 20 to 21 centimeters could actually totally block all gamma radiation from a source. So you could actually, like make a capsule or like insulate a space station with this fungus. And it could be really innovative technology. But you think about all these, I think they're called extremophiles. They grow really, really harsh conditions. You go down to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, there's organisms that live, like above like 200 degrees Fahrenheit. I think Celsius too. There's things that exist under extreme pressure.
Those
I think
scaly foot gastropods that look kind of like something out of Alien versus Predator or something. They're these like volcano snails. Yeah.
Yeah. So even if humans went extinct, I think life on Earth would be fine for a very long time, generally speaking. You know, it's all about, you know, would it be conducive to mammals if something extreme were to happen? So I think the fact that life continues despite all of that danger, I think that's a huge nod to the spiritual nature of things, and just the resilience of life to even exist at all. Most of the world is, of course, empty space. Most of what's between particles is space, but the fact that it can come together and interact at all is nothing short of an amazing miracle. That's pretty cool. Those are pretty cool things to think about. It's cooler to think about those things than tariffs and Putin and you know, world leaders saying "fuck you" to each other.
Well, they're correlated because, like, I mean, if anything, from the perspective of a world leader, they paint this fact the best. Probably, well, it's not even a fact. It's mostly like a shift in perspective. You're either going to go one or the other. You're going to think reality is downstream from consciousness, or that your consciousness is downstream from material reality. That's one of the thresholds. Like, I feel like, you know, for a spiritual perspective, there's different like logical thresholds that you kind of either break past or you just stay behind forever until you die. One being, we're just insignificant, like, you know, nothing but like physical beings just on this rock, and, you know, nothing we do really amounts to anything. And okay, so if you break past that, and then the next one is the reality being downstream from consciousness. And it's even more pertinent when you hear about like all the world leaders like actually being studied on metaphysics and Gnosticism and all that shit. So, I mean, it's a chicken, or in that sense, it's a chicken or the egg situation. You know, like, did they get into it because of their position, or did they get their position because they were into it?
And what do you think about quantum entanglement? You know, so this idea that we're all the time and all the distance in the world doesn't change anything really at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day, because everything comes back and started from the same singular source. I saw my mom on Ash Wednesday, and she had ashes on her Catholic forehead. And I was like, "You got some dirt on your face." And she's like, "Yeah, I got stardust all over me," you know, because we're all made of stardust. It's like, cool, Sardinian mom. But what do you feel about that idea, really, that all of this, we really are, that life itself? I mean, what is, okay, answer that before I go even further down a rabbit hole into what life is.
In regards to quantum entanglement?
Yeah, how do you feel like there's something to that idea that we're all entangled, and like even the most far-flung, distant, different things, we're all started out from like one singular, we're all one.
Yeah, source, God, or however, whatever label you want to ascribe to it. But yeah, I believe in that. I also believe that the reason why we have trouble seeing it in its entirety is because it probably transcends like space and time in some significant way. Like, I kind of mess around with that when I say things like, you should make contact with your past and your future selves and start like operating as a unit, as opposed to three separate yous. It's like, instead, try forgiving your past self, you know, like, be there for your past self, be there to support your past self, and then ask your future self for guidance. Do your future self some favors, you know, like, don't steal happiness from your future self, like, be on the same team. And that's kind of like breaking past some of the material confines of just being like in this coordinate of space and time, I think, because we could just do this all with our heads, you know? And if you want to like add the quantum aspect of it, some people are like, oh, well, how do I know I'm actually making contact with my future self and not just a figment of my imagination? Well, I mean, doesn't every version of your future self essentially start out as a figment of your imagination? Like, the future you that goes to take a piss in 2 minutes, like, that had to start somewhere, and it didn't just come out of nowhere, you know?
What do you think, Kurt? Are you a quantum entangled being? Are we all one quantum entangled being? Which one?
Heck yeah, we're entangled. Me and Andreas are basically inside each other right now. Not to give away anything, but that is exactly what's happening. Like, it explains all of the paranormal phenomena all around us all the time. You know, that one Russian girl that can, you know, burn people, explains why you can insert yourself into other people's dreams while you're dreaming. It's scientific fact, and I have a citation for that. I'll go ahead and put it in the comment section later on.
So you're saying quantum entanglement is gay, and, you know, I'm not arguing. I think that's great. That's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's yes, it is, and that's of course not a bad thing whatsoever. You know, it's
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Yeah,
I think heterosexual relationships are a little bit gay. That's just my opinion. It's just like it's a sliding scale. They're not as gay as fully gay relationships, but there's still a percentage of gayness that's required to have sexual contact with something that's basically the same thing as you are. You know, it's like the more you think about it, everything's just a little bit gay.
Yeah. Everything's quantum entangled anyway. Or maybe even transcends gay because everything was one.
Yeah, but unless it wasn't, that's the other thing. So it was like, is there like a hetero-dimensional quality where the darkness and the light are a dynamic force? You know, maybe there's something, is the yin yang.
Yeah, I was just thinking for that you might want to turn to like Taoism or something because they really like mess around. But even Gnosticism, well, I guess Hermeticism, they claim that like everything has a gender, you know, like everything has a masculine and a feminine aspect to it, which is interesting. And one of the reasons why I like thinking about like quantum entanglement is because it makes a person like really think about causality. And, you know, that could be a really slippery thing to think about for some people, because if you really ponder causality, it forces you to take responsibility for a lot of shit. You know, like it's like, a lot of people believe that things just happen, that there's no real cause, that, you know, such unfortunate things just befall us. And, you know, we're victims to fate, which, you know, can be true from like an individual perspective. But if you do like learn some of these like metaphysical traditions and practices, like one of the biggest principles that you have to get over is like a cause and effect aspect of everything. No matter what bad things happen, no matter what good things happen, like there's always a cause and effect dynamic going on. Even if we don't know what that cause is, even if our logic can't really rationalize it, it's still there somewhere.